Hello, everyone. I hope you had a nice Christmas or Hanukkah with your family or your loved ones. And now you're ready for the new year. Although, as a karmic astrologer and as an astrologer, I always have a problem with this January 1st chart and also looking at the new year and celebrating the new year because actually nothing really commences in nature. And astrology is a science that describes nature most of first and foremost. So it's kind of a schizophrenic frame of mind to look at it. But of course, everyone does it. So of course, I'm doing it as well. And I actually put together a PowerPoint for you. So let's take a look at first the numbers, because numbers are uh, resonances and they convey meaning, of course. And I gave the title of this video and the year 2025, Endings and New Beginnings, because both the numbers and also the placements of the whole year, especially the outer planet placements, really clearly signify that it's going to be an ending of an era and a new beginning will be there on the horizon, although the big shift will occur only in 2026. Let's take a look at the number first. If you add up to 2025, you get number 9, and number 9 is the highest vibration of the numbers. Pythagoras said that there are only 9 numbers in the human level, and number 10 is the divine level. And actually, if you take a look at the hermit in the tarot, this kind of signifies the same issue because here you see the hermit not in his nice little cushy cave, but he came out of the cave and he is holding a lamp in his hands in which there is the star. So this particular hermit, who is a wise man, who doesn't need the world around him anymore, who wants to contemplate, who wants to meditate, and he knows secrets, doesn't want to go out usually, but here he is out. And I always say when someone draws this particular card that you actually will be brought out of your own cave by your desires because the star is represents your desires, and he also has a shining wand in his hands which represents power and wisdom. So that's number 9, and that's the hermit for us. And it also signifies a new beginning. When even the hermit leaves his cave, you can tell that something new is commencing, something new is in on the horizon. Because of course, we are going to look at the first January 1st chart for London. Again, I do have a big problem with any chart on January 1st because really, what is commencing on January 1st? Nothing truly. Think about it. The average London temperature is 3 to 8 degrees centigrade. You can't grow anything. You can't really do anything outside except maybe some brisk walk in the park. The daylight is only 8 hours, a mere 8 hours in London during this period, which means that 1/3 of the day is only light and 2/3 are dark. And darkness represents death in many, many ways. And of course, the typical weather is also fog and rain and sleet with the occasional snowflakes. So again, nothing really commences because the weather and the energy patterns around us don't give us the chance to start anything. This, of course, doesn't mean that we can't celebrate. And of course, we can always look at any space-time moment, but I do have a big problem kind of looking at it for a whole year with the vernal equinox. That's a very different story. That is a chart that you can actually look at for the whole year. But with the January 1st chart at midnight, you have always Libra rising. The sun is always on the IC, and most of the personal planets, actually 3, are definitely below the horizon. The sun, Mercury, and Venus are always below the horizon. In this particular chart, you also have the moon down there, and Mars is up there in the 10th. So most of the time, the shape of the chart is very, very similar to this. So I don't think we should actually pay too much attention to the chart. I will highlight a couple of things for you. For instance, that we have Black Moon Lilith in the first house, signifying the goddess who knows what to do, who is, I always say that Lilith, Black Moon Lilith is the returning goddess, because that's what she does. She's banished from paradise, but then she realizes that Eve is being manufactured of one of the ribs of Adam, and she knows that this particular feminine doesn't have a soul, so she goes back into the Garden of Eden to give the power of feminine back to Eve, which she was robbed by this particular god that created her. And of course, the other thing that should catch your eye is that the vertex is conjunct Chiron, and this signifies the pain. Chiron in Aries is linked to karmic wounds around fighting, wars, pain, fires, aggression, violence. And the vertex, the point of no free will, adds to, very strong emphasis. So the wars, the fighting will go on, the carnage will go on, unfortunately. And we do have a Capricorn moon, which means that the people won't have too much power during this period. At least at the outset, we don't have too much power. And the moon phase at the same time is new moon. So actually, new moon is a new beginning. So even this signifies it. But the moon, of course, in Capricorn says that we don't have the power to fight, and actually the powers that we don't really care. Look around in Europe or anywhere really. They don't care for the people. They don't even say they care for the people. It doesn't matter if it's Tory or Labour. It doesn't really matter. These labels are no longer valid and no longer saying anything. Most leaders are globalists. They have a global agenda and they want power over anything and everything. And they want to tell you what you should eat, how you should work, what you should wear, how you should go to holiday. And they don't really care for your own needs, your true needs. But really, this particular Capricorn moon doesn't really have too much power, but it is in the fourth house, in its own house. Yes, it is in detriment, which means that he's deemed insignificant, but at the same time, he does have a very strong significance in the fourth house, which we could actually utilize. And this is what we should do. And the sun is squashed in between two strong women. Actually, two asteroids have been traveling together for quite some time, for the last couple of months, actually. And I looked at the vernal equinox chart, which has Pallas Athena and Lilith still conjunct. So it's going to be a very lasting event. But at the same time, now the sun is kind of squashed in there. And if we go back to the moon is actually looking at looking at this look, as if the moon was watching these two feminine that are kind of overpowering the sun. So these two strong feminine represent feminine archetypes, which could be at your disposal if you know how to work with them. Pallas Athena is the wise girl. She was the goddess of wisdom in Greek mythology. And Lilith, this particular Lilith is the asteroid Lilith. There are three Liliths, by the way, in karmic astrology. This particular Lilith represents the revolt against injustice. So we do have power. We just need to exercise it. We need to learn what to do and how to exercise this power. If we look at the transcendental objects, which I always do in any of my videos and also in my work, we get further insight into the space-time moment. First of all, the sun I see and the Lilith conjunction, because as you can see, Pallas Athena is a little bit further away, so we're going to look at it separately, which actually has wisdom. So Pallas Athena is a double wisdom energy at the moment because it has asteroid wisdom in it, and Nunki, which is the sigma star of Sagittarius, is the point where hilt of the arrow is being lifted, and that is a point of concentration. So this particular fixed star represents very strong concentration. That's on Pallas Athena. The Sun I see Lilith conjunction has Arsinoe. She was a Ptolemaic princess and a feminine pharaoh. Actually, she was the sister of one of the Ptolemy, I think maybe 14 or 13, something like that. It's a long dynasty. But with it, the dynasty ended. And actually, Arsinoe was the half sister of Cleopatra. And so she signifies an ending of an era. Well, again, this is on the Sun and on the IC. And two centaurs, Quaoar and Pholus. Pholus represents something that is 4 generations earlier, and also the fact that the buck stops here. And Quaoar is a creation god of the Tongva tribe of California, and it represents how you can create something just by using your physical body, dancing, and your voice, singing. On the moon, you have Scythia, Tristan, and Arrokoth. Arrokoth is again a tribal god, or actually it's not really a god, it's just a concept. And it can be translated as overcast skies. And Arrokoth in Karmic astrology represents when something is revealed. Something that used to be hidden is all of a sudden revealed. And so the people can reveal something. And on the ascendant, you have Memoria, memory. Please remember your roots. Remember your sacred roots that we keep, the powers that we want us to forget. And on the descendant, you have Aphrodite, the goddess of love. On the MC, you have two fixed stars, which are always there in this particular century, Alhina and Mapsuta. Alhina is the foot of the celestial twins on the ecliptic, but also on the Milky Way. So actually, it's at the crossroads of the god, the divine, and the hero's journey. So it's actually a crossroad between the human and the divine. And Ahina means in Arabic, the proudly marching one. So it gives you the push to go and do what you want. And on Mapsuta is the knee of the divine twin. One of them, I think it's Castor's knee, and it represents the fact sometimes you need to bend the knee, and sometimes you need to show humbleness or humility. Okay. It is also a funny thing because in the London chart, and this is only the London chart, there's a moon mid-heaven quindecile, which quindecile is 165 degree, and it denotes either obsession or ambition or both. So yes, we can shape the future. We the people can shape the future. Although this is only valid in London, unfortunately. And this is the main chart for the January 1st chart. There's a crown. The nodal axis, which is ready to move into Pisces, Virgo in 12 days, is making a mystic rectangle with the Mars-Pluto opposition, which is a very strong opposition. It's not very nice. It was there in the Capricorn new moon chart as well, and it represents the clash between ordinary will and power and transformation and or manipulation. So that's a powerful one. And the tip of this crown is again Sedna, creation through dissection. So this is what we need to do in this new era. There are exactly the same transcendental celestial objects. On the north node, there's Laocoon. He was a hero in the Trojan War. On the south node, you have Pluto, the first of the fates, who is creating the thread of your life. Diomedes, who is a very complex masculine figure. It is usually in Greek mythology some kind of strong person, either a king or a hero or a fighter. Kagara, who is in an African tribal creation figure who summons the powers of nature in order to free his own wife. And the supergalactic center, which in karmic astrology means the dilemma, or describes the dilemma of nothing is ever enough. And on Sedna, you have Pelion, the mountain of life that you need to climb, more somnus, death, and sleep, which is very prominent. This is a TNO that was very prominent during the pandemic. And the Pleiades, which is the home of the creator goddess. And on Pluto, you have Asclepius, healing, and Tah, the creator god of Egypt, who creates mankind on his as a potter. So those are the transcendental objects. And you're not going to look at the January 1st chart because it's not really relevant, as I said. We're going to look at the vernal equinox in more detail when it comes when we are nearing it. And these are the outer planet placements and sign changes for the year 2025. Jupiter will stay in Gemini and will move into Cancer on June 9th. The sign that Jupiter occupies is usually blowing up in big details. So you will be able to see patriotic movements throughout the world. All of a sudden, people will remember their families, their tribes, their homeland, and their roots, hopefully. Saturn is in Pisces at the moment. It will move briefly into Aries between May 25th and August 31st. It will move back, retrograde back into Pisces on November the 1st, and the final ingress, the final Aries ingress, will only be on February 14th, 2026. What is also interesting, so the vernal point, the Aries point, 0 degrees Aries, is very prominent throughout the year. Not only Saturn is moving back and forth over it, and the Neptune, but also Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde will occur during that point. So that's quite fascinating to me. That again signifies a new era, commencement of a new era. Chiron will stay in Aries. Actually, it stays in Aries for 12 years. It's the longest ingress for Chiron, signifying the fact that our most important karmic wounds are actually coming from wars and fighting and violence and aggression and all kinds of stuff. Uranus, which has been disrupting everything that was dear to us in Taurus. This is what it always does. It disrupts the things that are linked to the sign that it ingresses. And of course, Taurus rules money, well-being, harmony, and security. That has been disrupted in the past 7 years. Think about COVID, the price hikes of food and electricity and gas and all kinds of basic things for life. And of course, with the war, again, our security is also disrupted. It will move into Gemini on July 7th, but then move back into Taurus on November the 8th. And the final ingress is only on April 26th, 2026. So when it moves into Gemini, it will disrupt everything that is linked to Gemini, actually, reading, writing, knowledge, information providing, information gathering, and actually what we do with the knowledge. And of course, because transport is linked to Gemini as well, so we might as well see some things, some interesting things around the transport and how we transport stuff and where we can transport stuff. So we will see. Neptune is still in its own sign, and that is why you see so much craziness. We have been through so much idiocy and craziness and woke idiocy. And if you go back 165 years ago, it was the Communist Manifesto, and twice 165 years ago, it was the Salem witch hunts and witch trials. And this is exactly what happened with Neptune in Pisces in its own sign. It's always this smoke screen of idiocy. And finally, it's coming out into Aries again. So again, the Aries point, 0 degrees Aries is very prominent on March 30th, but it will go back into Pisces on October 23rd, and the final ingress will occur on January 26th next year. Pluto will remain in Aquarius, so the big shift already occurred. The nodes are making their shift, retrograding into Pisces and Virgo on January 12th, and from then on for 1.5 years, the focus will be on, first of all, on Virgo. Try to find those old ways to express things and to do things that we used to be able to do. And then the North Node in Pisces simply means that there will be things that you won't have the power over, and you need to learn to give it up. You need to learn to actually place it in front of the goddess and ask for help. This is how I paraphrase this particular move. But of course, it will again mean that we should understand what is behind the smoke screen and understand transcendental energies as well. And Sedna has just moved into Gemini for good, and it will be there for ages. So you don't need to concentrate on it. But of course, Sedna is creation through dissection. Here are the most important aspects of the year. And as you can see, the nodes are very, very prominent. There are a couple of conjunctions, trines, and squares as well. These will be looked at when we are going to go through the year. And whenever there's an important aspect, I'm going to make a video and explain the space-time moment. What I actually want to highlight for you are two things. One is the Saturn-Uranus sextile, and the other one is the Uranus-Neptune sextile. Why are these important? Well, actually, and also the Uranus-Pluto trine. Why are these three important? First of all, because Saturn and Uranus are about what I usually call, when it's a hard aspect, it usually means some sort of earthquake or quakes, when the earth is shaking, when reality is shaking. Because Saturn is the basics, whatever is there, the base things, and Uranus is blowing these base things up. This is sextile, so it could be controlled demolition or controlled Saturn change. So actually, we can go back to normalcy after so much chaos. The Uranus-Neptune sextile is interesting because we had the conjunction back in 1991 or 92 sometime, when whenever these two planets are conjunct, you can expect the leading world mythology to change. And now it's a sextile. For quite a while, for 5 years, it was a semi-square. And semi-square, according to Bernard Brady, in transits, signifies frustration. And true enough, there were all kinds of idiotic notions. Especially the woke ideology was really idiotic and really completely out of natural ways. And they were trying to push it on us. And of course, we didn't eat it. We didn't accept it. And now is the year when you can actually have a new kind of ideology, a new kind of ideological myth. We can form it actually. There's going to be the chance for it. And the Uranus-Pluto trine is the first major aspect after the square, which was exact 7 times between 1911 and 1916. And I kept telling you that when it is finished, we won't actually believe how the world changed. And this is exactly what happened. And now with the trine, we could actually have this push towards something new, the new transformation that has a blessing upon it. So those are the main outer planet aspects. And there are some karmic astrological aspects, which again, we will look at in detail every time there is going to be one. But I will highlight you 2 of them. And one is the Chiron Aries conjunction, which will be exact on May 26th. And this means drastically altered outward circumstances because or creating karmic wounds, or because of karmic wounds. So that's a biggie. That's really a biggie. This occurs every 80 years. This is quite rare, maybe 80, 90 years. Actually, last time it was sometime in the First World War, around the First World War, so even more than that. Okay, and the other one, the other biggie, which was exact 7 times, is the Pluto-Saturn trine, which is really the potential to recreate something that has not been working properly. Pluto is a big transformer, and Sedna is creation through dissection. And it means that you can actually look at the non-working segments of your life, throw these bits and pieces out, look at the remaining bits and pieces, and create something new. How? Through transformation. That's what we need to do. And maybe the Chiron Uranus conjunction will also be interesting, because that is how we can actually change or get rid of karmic wounds. And this will be the most important configuration, and I call it the most important configuration of the decade, because so many outer planets are changing signs and actually creating this harmony triangle. As you can see, Pluto is still, of course, in Aquarius and will be there until 2044. So we will have the time and energy to look at it and properly work with it. Yes, of course, if you go back and look what happened 250 years ago, there was the French Revolution, the Industrial Revolution, and the American Revolution. So the Pluto in Aquarius does signify revolutions. But then, of course, you have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries, and you also have the Uranus-Sedna conjunction in Gemini. And this harmony triangle signifies great changes. And at the apex of which is the Neptune-Saturn conjunction, which actually won't be exact this year yet. Although maybe it will be very, very close. Well, it will be definitely within one degree. And it simply signifies the fact that you can build something. Saturn, Neptune is always about the architect. So it's called the architect aspect. And the conjunction occurs only every 40, 45 years. So it's really, really significant. And the fact that Uranus and Pluto are also in the picture with Sedna creation through dissection, I think we can look for a great change edging energy. And here is, if you want to look at the Pluto Sedna trine, how we can create the new world. Actually, they were very, very close to each other already in April 2022. And it was only 1 minute of an hour before, and the trine did not occur in exactness. So that's just I always say that was the reminder that you can do it. Now then, on February 5th, 2023, we had an Earth trine sometime at the 27 degrees. I didn't have the time to look it up. But on June 13th, 2023, we had a very aneretic trine at 29 degrees 58. Of course, Pluto was still in Capricorn, and Saturn was in Taurus. On January 7th, 2024, again, it was an aneretic, not as aneretic as the previous one, but still aneretic degree. So the trine occurred 3 times in Earth signs, and the problem was that it was aneretic. So we should have created something completely new on the physical level, but it was stalled. It was completely stalled. And then next year, in the previous year, in 2024, there was the first air trine on July 17th, and it was at 1 degree, really practically 1 degree in the air signs. Capricorn, so Pluto went from Capricorn to Aquarius, and Sedna went from Taurus to Gemini, and they formed a trine there in the middle of the year. And there was also December 10th, 2024, again in air signs, and again 1 degree, something like that, or 0 degrees. So it's at the very, very beginning of the air signs, and there will be 2 more in 2025, one on August 28th and one on November the 6th, and that is going to be the final creation of this new world, so to speak. Actually, the November 6th date kind of pushes towards 2026, where the big shifts are going to occur for good, for the final good. And here you see, of course, Pluto, Hades, with Cerberus, and here's Sedna, creation through dissection. So those are the next year's most karmic astrological features. Those are the highlights. Use them in good health. I wish you a happy new year, and please pay attention to the signs around you. Also, did I, hold on a second, I think I put together something. Still, I wanted to put together, let's hope I did, because I did have some. So yes, here this year's, I mean, 2026, 25's key phrases and good wishes, or good advices. I don't ever give advice. I actually give good wishes. Prepare for a new era and find your own life-altering potentials. That's very important. It could be life-saving. Pay attention to everything and anything and everyone and anyone. Don't stay in your bubble. This is crucial. Ask questions and listen. So don't accept anything at face value. Don't accept because he or she is saying that you trust. Ask the opposite and listen and return to the old natural ways whenever you can, because those are going to be also life-saving energies. This is what I wish for you. Happy New Year. Have a glass of champagne for me as well. I'm going to have a glass of champagne for you as well. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.